In this edition of RPPV News, an arrest in a hit and run, a farewell to our mayor, and a spectacular new sports pavilion. Hello, I'm Catie Sharp. Welcome to the latest edition of RPPV News, bringing you stories from across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula. Police have arrested two men following an alleged hit and run in Carrum Downs earlier this week. A 30-year-old man of no fixed address was arrested at the property on Boundary Road in Carrum Downs on Thursday and taken to Frankston Police Station. A 25-year-old Carrum Downs man was also arrested after he presented himself to Frankston Police Station on the same day. The arrests came after the driver of a red Holden crashed into a number of road workers on Hall Road near the intersection of Latz Avenue at about 7:15 a.m. on Tuesday morning. The man fled on foot and got into a black Hyundai SUV on Rowellen Avenue a short time after the collision. The getaway car had false registration plates, which delayed the search for the suspects. Timmy Rakay, a 44-year-old Bayswater man and father of four, died at the scene. His colleague, 38-year-old Traralgon man Sean Kilmartin, was taken to hospital where he remains with serious injuries. Mr Rakay and Mr Kilmartin had been setting up cones on the road when they were struck by the Holden travelling at high speed. Police have thanked the public for their support in apprehending the two men. Councillor Despy O'Connor's 12-month term as Mornington Peninsula Shire Mayor comes to an end this Tuesday. In a term that was bookended by COVID-19 and lockdown, Mayor O'Connor took the opportunity to reflect on her time wearing the chains of office.
I have, like I said earlier, I've put in everything. I took a year off work to give this job all of me. I've been and visited community groups right across the peninsula, from writers groups in Somerville, Rotary groups, RSL groups, environmental groups, First Nations people, social enterprise groups, but also business groups that are really successful down here on the peninsula. You know, from the top of Briars all the way down to Nepean, working with different groups. And I remember right back at the start, Brendan, and some of your listeners might actually recall some of this, but I would walk in and people would say, "Oh, you don't look like a mayor." And I never wanted to be that, I'm not sure what they meant, but I was just me. And I've always done that. This is me and you've got me how I am. I feel like I'm very personable. I get to know people, I hear. And I've really enjoyed that part of my work this year.
She also had some advice for her successor.
To the person who's going to do this job, I hope they've got 14 hours in a day and that they're prepared to get all over the peninsula to do this job. I think that's the thing that, they really need to think about when they're taking this role on. And yes, they get the little BMW EV, which you only need to plug into to council buildings that are all lined with solar panels. So, there's no more fuel stations. It's a big job, Brendan, and I think the person who does put their hand up and gets that, that majority vote on the night needs to be prepared for a big year.
The new mayor will be elected this week by the sitting council. It's 92 years since the Frankston community was told their electrified rail line should be extended beyond Frankston Station. In 1929, a Victorian Parliamentary Committee recommended the line extend 5 kilometres to Langwarrin and then down to the Mornington Peninsula. As the nation heads towards another federal election campaign, the Committee for Greater Frankston is calling on the incumbent coalition government to honour its 2018 pledge to build the rail extension. They are also asking federal Labor to reconfirm its 2018 commitment to the project as it attempts to win government in 2022. If built to Langwarrin, the line would connect an extra 37,000 residents to Melbourne's Metro Rail network and provide easier access to the network for over 160,000 Mornington Peninsula residents. Committee for Greater Frankston CEO Ginevra Hosking called the project's lack of progress a squandered golden opportunity and believes that with an election looming, pressure can be exerted on Spring Street and Canberra.
And the money has literally been sitting there waiting for somebody to pick up a shovel since 2018. So 3 years, best part of 3 years, and we've we've seen no action, and I think that's really, really shameful, actually. Look, I actually think this is going to come down to the community and the number of people who tell their mothers and fathers and everything to say, look, just pick up a telephone and call your local member. It's common knowledge that for every telephone call or email they get, there's another 100 votes behind it. So, just explain to people that I was speaking to a lady the other day in Langwarrin who was saying that, she's got a great house there, her daughters grew up in the area, but because they couldn't get access to the train line without driving into Frankston, all of their daughters have had to leave home and live in the city to study. We're not that far away that we should be requiring our we're not a regional area that our kids should be expected to have to move out of home in order to get access to education.
Over the past decade, attempts have been made to combat the deteriorating north end of Mount Martha's Beach in an effort to try and preserve it for future generations. With help from the Victorian Government's Commonwealth Government Environmental Restoration Fund, sand renourishment works are currently underway. Amelia Hurst has the story.
This month, works have begun to relocate 25,000 cubic metres of sand to the north end of Mount Martha's Beach. According to the Mount Martha North Beach stakeholder update, the sand will be pumped to shore in sections from 800 metres directly offshore. With the beach constantly under threat of destruction, many locals and beach box owners have been lobbying for help.
One group in particular, the Mount Martha North Beach Group, which was established in 2006, have been actively campaigning for years to have a seasonally stable and sustainable outcome actioned. Finally, last year their concerns were listened to, and the Morrison government pledged $1.5 million towards the preservation of the foreshore.
Whilst the group is appreciative of the financial support, they remain concerned that no long-term solution is being provided by the state government. Member of the Mount Martha North Beach Group, Nick Watson, said the sand levels have deteriorated significantly.
I know the boat sheds on the North Beach you see right up high on stilts. The sand, when my dad was down there as a child, was at the level of the boat shed floors. So it's lost an enormous amount of sand in recent years.
As sand renourishment works have been used in the past with little success, Nick says it will not provide the necessary solution.
I think more realistically what it is successive governments just wishing to pass the buck along. Right now, I think the sand is probably a simpler solution, but it ends up being temporary. It only lasts for maybe 2 or 3 years before it needs to be redone.
Instead, the group is advocating for small-sized groins to be placed at North Beach, which they believe would not only be more cost-effective, but involve less maintenance. However, in the 2019 study produced by Water Technology, it found that the placement of the groins would result in beach erosion of adjacent areas of the coastline, something Nick says has already happened.
There's a lot of concern about what might happen to the next beach, but then they've completely destroyed that next beach by plonking a sheer wall there back in the 1960s and then adding more rocks to that area in probably 2017 or 18.
So, with the lack of appropriate means to combat the persistent decay, Nick says it is leaving the community and beach box owners defeated.
They're frustrated by the bureaucracy of the feds providing the money, the states wasting the money on various reports and sand renourishment when it could be better spent. Stop wasting time, just do something.
Amelia Hurst for RPP News.
The sporting pavilion at Lloyd Park Recreation Reserve in Langwarrin is to receive an almost $6.5 million upgrade. Home to Langwarrin Football and Netball Club, Langwarrin Junior Football Club and Langwarrin Cricket Club, the new 2-storey pavilion will replace the almost 50-year-old building. This visual representation gives an idea of the upgrade, which will include new car parking and extended pavement for pedestrians. The pavilion features change rooms with amenities for men and women, a canteen, first aid rooms and social and meeting rooms. Works will commence this year with expected completion in mid-2023. And in a major coup for Monash Peninsula campus, Reverend Tim Costello has accepted the university's invitation to chair the Peninsula Campus Community Advisory Council. The council provides strategic advice and builds relationships to develop teaching, research and community engagement activities. The council includes state and federal members of parliament and representatives of local services including Peninsula Health, educational institutions, shopping precincts and state government departments. Reverend Costello, a Monash alumnus, is one of Australia's most respected voices on social justice issues, leadership and ethics. In 2006, Reverend Costello was named Victoria's Australian of the Year. He was made an Officer of the Order of Australia in June 2005 and was named one of Australia's 100 National Living Treasures in 1997. He now resides on the peninsula. We now cross to David Robertson with this month's Bendigo Bank market update.
The economic outlook for next year continues to trend positively, but still with a complicated, uneven global backdrop. A quick update of our forecasts and the latest developments for the markets. The rapid increase in vaccination rates has brought forward the easing of COVID restrictions, bringing forward spending and mobility well ahead of year end. As a result, the rebound from the Delta second wave will be earlier and, measured by GDP, is expected to be a sharper recovery than previously forecast. As the chart shows, the second dip caused by the Delta strain was sharp, but much shallower than last year's recession. So, with borders reopening, our economy is now well positioned for the expected upswing. GDP growth in the fourth quarter of this year and through 2022 should mirror the V-shaped recovery of last financial year, as should jobs growth, with unemployment potentially falling below 4% next year, its lowest level since the 70s, driven by record high levels of job vacancies and national demand for labour. Retail sales fell 4.5% in the September quarter as discretionary spending took a breather, with New South Wales, ACT and Victoria in protracted lockdowns. But from here, consumption is expected to accelerate. This will be driven by elevated levels of household savings and disposable income, all helped by record low interest rates and extraordinary levels of fiscal support. That all suggests that demand won't be the problem in the months ahead, and, as we mentioned in last month's report, accrued stimulus will be deployed amid rising consumer confidence. But while demand looks strong, the supply side is more challenging, be that via supply chain bottlenecks, elevated freight costs and energy costs around the world, and also labour supply. The combination of high demand but struggling supply has an obvious consequence: rising inflationary risks, and so rising interest rates as central banks try to walk the fine line of creating enough inflation to meet their targets, but not excessive inflation. The financial markets have continued to respond to this reality by pricing in higher official interest rates next year, pushing up our bond yields and swap rates about 1%, despite the Reserve Bank of Australia still insisting that rate hikes aren't likely until around 2024. As we've suggested for much of this year, we see late 2022 to early 23 RBA rate hikes as a timing more consistent with these inflationary risks. And that scenario can be hand in hand with economic growth, jobs growth, but most importantly with wages growth. So, the outlook for the economy is promising as we come out of the double-dip pandemic era, but complicated by inflationary risks, normalising interest rates, and the uneven impact of COVID-19 on businesses and locations. And lastly, stock markets are back at record highs in the US and Europe, although lagging a little here. But business confidence rose resiliently in the latest survey, matching Australian consumer sentiment, and also hopefully matching high levels of demand in the months ahead. And that's the market update from Bendigo Bank.
After the break, we go to Nicola with the coming week's weather report.
There's a quiet revolution happening on the rooftops of Australia. And at Solar Heart, we're proud to be leading the charge. One home, one family, one solar panel at a time, helping smart Aussies make a real difference to the planet, cutting their energy bills and connecting them to their smart energy future. Get smart, get Solar Heart.
Established in 1988, Progress Signs has been servicing the local community for 30 years. Located on the Mornington Peninsula, they are the #1 destination for all your signage needs, specialising in a variety of signage from vehicles to shop fronts, occasional and corporate events, short-term, long-term, and everything in between. If it's signs you need, be it large or small, Progress Signs is the place to call. Available 24/7 at progress-signs.com or call the team on 5975 9188. Thinking Signs? Think Progress Signs, a station sponsor.
Hello, Nicola here, and welcome to this week's RPP Mornington Peninsula 7-day weather forecast. Today we're coming to you down from Chelsea Way, and it is, as the bomb predicted last week, very wet. You could be mistaken for thinking that we were heading back into winter. There is even talk about snow in the Alps this weekend. Let's take a closer look this week's weather and find out the full story. Today, Saturday, the 13th of November, brought us a wet, rainy day with southeast to southwesterly 25 to 40 kilometre per hour winds, becoming southwesterly 30 to 45 kilometre in the morning, then tending westerly 20 to 30 kilometre in the late evening. We should reach a top of 15 and a low of 10. Sunday sees the rain continuing. Expect a 90% chance of showers across the peninsula, with an expected top of 15 and a low of 8. Monday sees a mostly cloudy day, with that rain easing just a little. We can expect a low of 7 and a high of 14. Tuesday brings mostly a cloudy day with, yep, you guessed it, more rain. However, the good news is that it is starting to weaken. Expect a low of 8 and a high of 16. Wednesday, the 17th of November, sees the rain really thin out with only a 30% chance of showers across the peninsula. We will see the sun during a partly cloudy day. Look for a low of 8 and a high of 18. Thursday will be mostly sunny. Let's just take that in for a moment. Expect a low of 8 and a high of 21. And finally, Friday sees a shower or two returning. Expect another partly cloudy day with a 70% chance of showers across the peninsula. We should feel a low of 13 and a top of 25. Well, that's all for now. Don't forget to keep that brolly close by this week. I would like to leave you with this thought. This weekend could be the last of winterish weekend for 2021. So one last chance to snuggle up in front of that fire with a red. Sounds good. Remember to continue to be kind, patient and understanding with each other. And until next time, take good care.
And now to our surf guru Muzz with the Surf Report.
Hey, it's Muzz back with this week's Mornington Peninsula Surf Report. Got some pretty ordinary weather in front of us for late spring. The only decent thing it looks like, sort of Sunday into Monday into Tuesday, we're going to get a bit of push in the swell. But between now and then, it's pretty much going to be south-southeast, rain, pretty ordinary. There's a chance, maybe Sunday the wind might go more west-southwest, and that'll run right through Monday into Tuesday. Should be a really big increase in swell Sunday into Monday, slowly fading out Tuesday, Wednesday. So there'll be some definitely surfable days, probably in Western Port. Sunday no doubt will be very busy. Monday's probably an RDO, so it's going to be busy. Seems to be busy every day anyway. But should be able to get in surf as well. So guys, enjoy it. Hopefully we start seeing an improvement in the weather and nice sunny days and some nice days on the beaches. So take it easy and see you soon.
And that's all from our team here at RPP News, serving the community with stories matter to you. Keep watching and do tell your friends. We'll leave you this week with some images of a seal pup spotted on the foreshore of Frankston Beach this week. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula, I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.